Somebody gave me some advice once. They said, I didn't become an actor to be famous. I became an actor to study acting and practice the craft of acting. The fame thing or the celebrity thing it's a byproduct. It comes and goes. One minute you're popular, next minute everyone's forgotten you. I'll tell you something I've never said before. When I joined EastEnders, I didn't know the actors' names. Some of the actors, I really wanted to call them by their character names. We came to a country, it was really hostile. It was cold, we didn't have money. The weirdest memory of all of that is watching blood drip from my nose onto snow whilst he's kicking me in the head. I painted what I felt, but a lot of it was influenced by comics. In a really dark place, I just found myself getting that box of paints out of the chair and I started painting. He said, "Here, read this book." And I read this book, completely changed my life. I went, "Oh my God, this is it. This is the guy I want to work with." My heart is in art. And it's my lifeboat. It means more to me than just painting pictures that become expensive wallpaper. It's not wallpaper, it's a work of art that comes from some deep hurt, some deep need to express.
Hello. Welcome back to another Brushworthy podcast with the London Art Exchange. We are joined by the wonderful all-round actor, artist, creative, Nitin Ganatra. Welcome back.
Hello, nice to be back.
Yes, how does it feel?
It's good. It's good. I'm really happy with these. These look great on the wall.
This is fabulous stuff. It is gorgeous. So how are you? How's your weekend?
Yeah, good. Yeah, just busy. Just lots of things going on. Lots to do. Lots of planning. Lots of writing. Lots of painting.
Yeah.
Lots of running around getting things framed.
Lots of running around. So you said you got the tube in today. I've got a question I want to ask you. So do you get noticed when you're in the tube?
Yeah.
Really?
I
often?
do. I get noticed all day, every day.
Really?
However, the good thing about London is that most people on the tube are too busy on their phones.
People don't notice.
And on the tube, they're too tired and too hot and too bothered to look up.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good.
So are you one of those people that if someone asks you for a picture, are you always saying yes, or do you ever say no?
Oh, I'm generally I say yes because it's actually more difficult to say no.
Really?
It's easier to say yes. It's easy to go, yeah, okay, fine.
Because I can imagine it would be quite difficult if you're like shopping or you're doing something and people kind of approach you out of nowhere. It can throw you off.
It can. It's often when I'm in my own zone, if I'm just spaced out doing my own thing, thinking about something, and somebody comes and grabs you on the shoulder and taps you on the shoulder and you go, "What?"
Yeah.
And I didn't know, what did I do?
Yeah.
I thought I was going to get mugged, but it's somebody wanting a photo.
Yeah.
But some people get offended if you say no, so it's fine. It's fine. I mean, generally, people are really nice about it.
Yeah. Because I can imagine it's quite bizarre because so many people know who you are, but you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
You know?
Somebody gave me some advice once when they said, because I didn't become an actor to be famous. I became an actor to study acting and practice the craft of acting. Okay. And then the fame thing or the celebrity thing it's a byproduct. It comes and goes. You never get attached to that. So one minute everybody one minute you're popular, next minute everyone's forgotten you. Yeah. Right. But so you never get attached to that as long as you carry on doing the creative work, as long as you keep acting. So somebody gave me, and so I'd had a fine career. Yeah. I'd get noticed every now and then. Somebody come up to me and say, "Hey, I saw you in that film," blah, blah, blah. And then I did EastEnders. Completely changed the game for me because I'd lost all my own anonymity. Wow. I was like, because I like people watching. Yeah. I like sitting in a park and watching people, and even on the tube, I'm a bit of a starer. I stare, which is not good. It gets misinterpreted. But now I'm the one being observed. Now I can't put a foot wrong, or now I'm having to be careful of, picking my nose
Exactly.
in a car.
You can't.
Whatever you do.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Yeah. And so somebody gave me some good advice, and they
Yeah.
said, listen, as frustrating as it is, this might be the 10th time this has happened to you today, but it's their first time.
Which is so true.
Yeah. So you have to, that's the yoga of it. That's how you kind of practice some kind of mindfulness that this person is seeing you for the first time, but this has happened to you 10 times in one day.
That's so interesting. So would you say that EastEnders was the kind of turning point for you? Because for me personally, that's kind of what I would associate you with. And do a lot of people come up to you and say, Masood, is that a thing? Or
yeah.
It
wasn't a turning point for me.
Well,
I mean, I don't know what you mean by turning point. It certainly made me more visible than I was comfortable with.
Okay.
Because it's got a massive following,
100%.
you know, and it goes into people's living rooms 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And people really love the show, and then they think they know you. Yeah. So I get called Masood a lot. Yeah,
because people kind of learn to love and know this character, but that's not actually who you are. Really, is it at all?
It's just a character.
Yeah.
That's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
I play different people.
Yeah. So if someone came up to you and said, called you Masood, would you correct them, or do you kind of just
No. It's you know what? Some people do get upset with it. Some people get a little bit pissed off with not be. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm wondering if I've ever met an actor that I've seen on TV or a movie and forgotten their real name. Actually, you know what? I'll tell you something I've never said before.
Go on.
When I joined EastEnders, I didn't know the actors' names. Some of the actors, I really wanted to call them by their character names.
Yeah, Cat Slater 100%.
I'm not saying who, because we're all friends and I don't want them to go, really? It's hard because the names become so embedded in your mind.
Yeah. 100%.
But I don't really get, I mean, occasionally I don't get upset about Masood, but I have been called Saeed every now and then. And that was the son. I've been called Sanjay. Yeah. Which is a character that was there 10 years before me. Sanjay from EastEnders, Sanjay and Geeta.
Yeah.
And every now and then somebody says, you were brilliant in Goodness Gracious Me. And I was never in it. So I often say, that's the other brown guy.
Yeah.
But that's it, the world is so full of stuff now. People are going to get brown guys mixed up.
Yeah, exactly. But before we kind of delve into the whole film industry, that kind of stuff, I kind of just want to know kind of a little bit more about you, like where you was born, where you grew up. Because I know you studied in Bristol, right? But kind of pre-Bristol, like what was it like growing up? What type of kid were you? Were you an introvert? Were you an extrovert?
So I was born in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Africa, and we settled there when the British owned India and the British owned Kenya. And so they took the Indians over to build the railroads in Kenya. And then my grandfather ended up staying there. And then my dad was born there. And then my dad went back to India, met my mum, married my mum, brought her to Kenya. We were all born in Kenya. And then the British decided that they'd had enough of owning another country. So they left.
Yeah.
And, but my dad said we could go to Britain, we could go to the UK.
Yeah.
I think we could have gone to a couple of other countries as well.
Yeah.
I think rumour has it there were other countries on the cards.
Okay.
Like France, like maybe Australia, maybe America. But
wow, there was options.
I think there
could have gone global.
I think we could have. Yeah.
Should have, could have.
Yeah, could have been Parisian.
Yeah.
But we had relatives over here, so we ended up here.
Okay.
And it was a culture shock. I'm the youngest. It was probably a bigger culture shock for my brothers and sisters. But I just remember weird stuff that we'd never experienced before. Because we've come from a hot country where you could pick mangoes off trees while you're on your way to school. And there was a waterfall and we were in a valley. We lived in a valley. And then we ended up at Leeds train station in winter.
The concrete jungle.
The culture shock of tarmac and oil and
Yeah.
cold weather and just weird memories of eating stuff you'd never eaten before.
Wait, how old were you when you?
I was about 3 or 4.
Okay, so you were pretty young.
I was young, but I
Yeah.
remember the flight.
Wow.
I remember Kenya.
Yeah.
I remember eating a cheese and onion roll for the first time, and it was.
Is that a British? I can't say I've ever eaten a cheese and onion roll. Is that a thing?
That was a northern thing.
Oh, it was a northern thing.
Yeah, cheese and onion bap.
I can't say I'm condoning a cheese and onion roll.
But for us, it just tasted like soap.
Yeah.
We was kind of like, what's this soapy white bread with weird buttery stuff, and we weren't used to it.
Yeah.
I remember my sister saying that everyone got hysterical when they had pickled onions for the first time. We'd never had stuff like that. We're from India and Kenya, you know. We grew up on.
I can't. People aren't eating pickled onions on a daily basis, surely. Surely
that's not. I don't think it was a daily basis thing.
Yeah.
It was like your first time of trying stuff that you've never tried before. I mean, you've had frog's legs apparently.
So how many siblings do you have?
2 brothers and sister.
Okay, nice balance. Are you the oldest, the youngest?
I'm the youngest.
The youngest. Okay, that's so much fun. I was also the youngest as well. I feel like my whole personality is based around my siblings. Do you feel the same?
How?
I don't know. I just feel like my siblings really just taught me everything. Not everything that I know, but they really just paved the first few years for me. And I feel like they made my childhood so fun and exciting. Like, I can't imagine my childhood without my siblings. Like, when I think of my childhood, I think of them and the stuff that we used to get up to.
You're the youngest.
I'm the youngest, yeah.
Yeah, well, you learn from the oldest. And if you've got good siblings, if you've got good older siblings, they'll teach you.
Yeah.
But also, if you've got some you don't get along with, you can you just learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
Like as soon as that one got into trouble with mum and dad, right? Okay, I'm not make sure I never get caught doing that.
Yeah.
So you learn from the mistakes of your older.
Oh, so you were like a well-behaved. Would you say you were well-behaved, or were you naughty? Like what?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't naughty, and I wasn't well-behaved. I was kind of left to my own devices because we came to a country. It was really hostile. It was cold. We didn't have money. We didn't. We were. I remember my mum making jelly for the first time, but we didn't have a fridge. She'd left it out on the windowsill to get cold. Yeah. And I was talking to somebody the other day, talking about we didn't even have sofas. We would eat on the floor because we didn't have money for sofas. So it was tough arriving in this country and then being hated as well, being told to go back home. Go back to where you come from. We don't like immigrants. We don't like Indians. So you just knew this is really not an easy place. And if you're the youngest, it's you do adapt quicker. But also you've got your older siblings too. My siblings were young teenagers, so they had to adjust in a different way because as a teenager there's a different vibe going. Yeah, of course. So I wasn't naughty, but I was much more. I quietly observed things. Okay. And I was scared. I was a scared kid because it was hostile. It was angry. Yeah. It was the 80s, 70s and 80s where there was a lot of unemployment. There was Margaret Thatcher was, just basically destroyed the coal mining industry. A lot of lives were ruined and then you're arriving in a country where you don't speak the language, you definitely don't like the food. Yeah. Don't want to eat soap and onions. Yeah. And you're having to adjust. Yeah, exactly. And also you've come over for a better life. Mm-hmm. You've come over to make give your kids a chance to make a better life. And unfortunately, you just grew up in such an environment, a volatile environment, where it was violent. Getting to school was, for me, school was a very frightening place. I've got a friend of mine who's in a band who went to the same school as me, and he said, I remember your first 2-3 weeks. You were the only Asian in the school. And he said, you got beaten up every day. Oh, wow. He said, I remember watching you getting beaten up every day, but you'd still get up and carry on as if nothing happened. Yeah. And he said after a while, and I, I blanked a lot of that stuff out.
Yeah, of course. That's
but
definitely
he told me.
character, but that's character building. I mean, that's the thing I feel like with school and stuff like that. I feel like you kind of either have a really good experience at school and you have a great time, or kind of goes the other way.
One of the things I talk about when I'm talking about my art is talking about my childhood, and more people come to me saying, "Oh, and this happened to me, and this happened to me." I'm just one story. The immigrant story is a tough one, and it's still going on. Nobody wants immigrants in this country.
Yeah,
I'm an immigrant.
Yeah, but
am I going to be sent back home? I don't know.
This is the thing what I love about London, though. I feel like, because I think up north, I mean, I can't kind of talk, but London is so diverse, like I feel like, we celebrate so much more. But so kind of...
I like that about London. I like the fact that I can go and eat whatever I want.
Exactly. There's so many options.
I can eat Persian food. I can eat Iranian food. I can go
Ethiopian.
There's a great Ethiopian cafe near me where this guy has got his own coffee plantation in Ethiopia, and he brings his own Ethiopian coffee, organic coffee. That's what's lovely about London, is the mix.
Yeah, exactly. So you went to school in
Coventry.
Okay.
Yeah. And and so going to school was hard, and secondary school was even harder, and it was tough. It was that teachers were, in those days, teachers could just call you all sorts of things that you wouldn't get away with now, and also it was the skinhead era, so there was a lot of National Front swastikas, and I come from a corner shop, so there were, there's constantly windows being smashed, or my mum being spat at, or my dad being attacked. And I was the younger, so I wasn't I wasn't a great fighter.
Yeah.
And I had a terrible stammer, but I had to find my own way of surviving that. When I even had a really violent art teacher. This is the one teacher that everyone was scared of in my school, was an art teacher.
Seriously, I feel like the art teacher. The art teacher's always like the zen, free flowing.
I thought that. There was one time I was sitting there, and she was terrifying. Even the headmaster was scared of her. And I can't give a name, but I remember in the class, there's two boys who were really racist. Basically, I'd sat through a whole lesson of them calling me the P word to my face, and I was 12 or 13, and she came up behind these two boys and grabbed them by the hair and shook their heads like this, and then slapped them together. I mean, I literally sat there and watched it all happen, and I went, okay, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and just carry on painting. And
that wouldn't happen now. 2025, that would not in school.
No. It wouldn't happen now. Probably good. I mean, kids. I don't know what would happen. Life has changed a lot. There's a lot of stuff that was acceptable in those days that's rightly not acceptable now.
Yeah, 100%. So with your art, was that something that you was kind of doing since you was a child, or is that something that's kind of come up? Oh.
Yeah. So luckily for me, because I was there wasn't a safe place for me. My family were working in a shop, trying to survive, trying to exist.
Yeah.
So they were stressed out, and I was in a constant state of stress, trying to, school. Even getting to school, you could get jumped, and I have so many memories. Really pretty weird, screwed up memories. Like this one guy outside behind the art block that was covered in snow. This one guy, he wasn't a skinhead, but he didn't like foreigners, and had me on the floor, kicking me in the head, saying, "I want you to beg. I want you to beg me."
Where were your siblings at this point?
This is at school. This is between lessons.
And
he's going, "I want you to beg." And it was he just wanted me to beg. It was a power trip about begging. And all I remember was, and of course I can say, yes, I beg you, let me stand back up, which is not a problem for me because you'll say anything to get out of the situation. But the weirdest memory of all of that is watching blood drip from my nose onto snow. whilst he's kicking me in the head. But this was a daily thing for me.
Yeah.
Up until a certain point, it was a daily thing.
That's
So the weird thing that happened to me was I was able to find some kind of escape, and it happened with art. So as early as I could remember, I was painting and drawing.
Okay.
And that was it. That's where I kind of shut down the whole world, and I could just focus my attention on what's in front of me. And it was I think probably a really good coping strategy.
100%.
To block out the world.
Yeah, it's like a world that you can escape into. What kind of used to inspire your art? Because I can imagine it changes, through your life experiences and relationships, all this kind of stuff. But as a child, what kind of inspired your art? Did you have people around you that were creative, or was it just a case of you doodling and it progressing? How did it kind of?
There wasn't. There weren't. I had a cousin that painted, and but I only saw. I remember when we visited them, they had a laundrette, and we would go and visit them, and he had a drawing that he'd done stuck up in the corner of his bedroom. And I remember being the youngest, and they were all out playing, and I would be sitting there staring at that. But I painted what I felt, but a lot of it was influenced by comics, because I came from a corner shop, and there was always a comic stand, and I would take the comics. Yeah. And I never read. I wasn't very good at reading, but the pictures were always really amazing. Yeah. So I would copy the comic strips with the Batmans and the Marvels and the DC.
It's all like so pop art and colourful, isn't it?
So
there's so much colour in your work as well.
Yeah, I mean, colour is. I don't know. I often ask myself, if I was to lose any part of my anatomy, I just need my eyesight. I don't mind being deaf. Yeah. Really, I could quite happily shut out the noise of the world. Yeah. But colour and visuals are very important to me. Yeah. Maybe because I'm dyslexic as well, so I'm not great with words, but the images and visuals work well with me.
Yeah. I mean, for people that don't know kind of about your kind of art journey, how would you describe your works and your pieces?
I don't know. How would you describe them?
Oh, thought-provoking for sure. But I think art is up for interpretation, isn't it? Do you have like a favourite standout piece?
No, I don't have a favourite standout piece, but I know that every painting I did, and these are all from lockdown. But as I painted as a kid, I learned to draw very easily by copying comics, by copying Spider-Man and Batman, but often I would paint what I feel, and they were quite surreal pictures. Yeah. And then my art journey was that I painted for so long, even though I knew at one point, okay, I'm not going to be an artist, I'm going to be an actor instead. Yeah. I decided, well, it all happened because one teacher did the school play with me. She said, you've got to do a school play. And I did the first school play, and it was okay. I was just in the background a lot. And but it was something weird. Something profound happened in that moment, where she asked me to do the second school play, and I had a great part in that. I had a really good part. And I went out on stage and thought, I had this kind of strange moment where I was just waiting to speak and having 250 people waiting to see what I had to say. Yeah. And that had never happened before. I was a frightened kid. Mm-hmm. I mean, in the Indian community, there's always dancing and there's always little school plays going on and stuff. Yeah. So I wasn't a performer as such, but in the community, there's always dancing and music. But going on stage, I realized that I had more confidence playing somebody else than me.
That's so interesting.
And so that's when I began to pursue acting instead.
So did you never at one point consider pursuing like a career in art?
I did. I always wanted to be a professional artist, but it was an industry that was class dominated, and it was usually grey haired old posh white blokes that kind of controlled the art industry.
Yeah.
And I was on a train once with my portfolio. I was 17 and I was on my way to Bristol University to do an interview, and this guy sitting opposite me got chatting. It turns out he's an art collector. And I said, would you mind looking at my painting?
Yeah.
And he
here's your time to shine.
Yeah, here's my big moment. I showed him my paintings and he went, nah, forget it. Choose a different profession. You're never going to make it. And just completely crushed me. And I thought, well, that's not going to be an artist then. Yeah. I never stopped painting though. Even through university, I knew I was going to be an actor. Yeah. Acting wasn't difficult for me. I found acting easy. So I kept pursuing that, but at the same time I kept painting. And then I stopped painting for about 18 years.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it somehow I just something happened. I put it all away in a box. Everything was in a box and in the shed, and that's it. I'm not going to paint anymore. That's
the thing though. I think, as an adult, life, there's so many more things that just end up becoming a priority, isn't there? When you're working and you've got bills to pay and you've got your career and family and, all this type of stuff. Sometimes,
Yeah, I kind of don't know why I stopped. I don't know. You just follow it. But then and then in lockdown, there's something else happened, and for some reason, I got depressed. I fell into a deep depression. I had a real internal battle with myself, and I started running a lot. I started pushing my body to a real extreme. Yeah. And then and through real kind of like in a really dark place, I just found myself getting that box of paints out of the shed, and I started painting again.
Do you know what? I do feel like COVID was that era where it kind of forced everyone to pause and just slow down. I think so many people just started cooking and creating and working out and all this kind of stuff because there wasn't much else to do. You were kind of forced to just work with the tools that you had. So in a way, I think COVID was kind of beneficial for a lot of people in that sense. But yeah, I think COVID was definitely a difficult time for everyone, wasn't it? It was kind of like, whoa, this is not the life that we're kind of used to,
It was difficult for people who couldn't see their family. Yeah. They couldn't see their grandparents. And, people died. A lot of people died alone. It made everybody suddenly stop. Yeah. And but anyway, it changed. It changed a lot of people's lives, and mine certainly plummeted into a very dark place. And then it was returning to art that kind of managed to bring me back up.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I was at uni during COVID.
Right.
Which was interesting because I kind of moved out of home and, planted myself in London, and then it was like, oh, COVID's here now. And I was kind of like, where do we go from here? What was your uni experience like being in Bristol? Bristol's great.
I had a fantastic time.
Yeah, Bristol's great. And it's full of art.
It's a very creative city. Yeah. I had a great time because I escaped a place that was, where I think I wouldn't, if I'd have stayed in that place, I'd have ended up working in the shop. Yeah. And I wouldn't have followed my heart. Yeah. So, and also, listen, Bristol is a privileged university where I was the only person, ethnic minority in my department, in the drama department. Yeah. Most people were privately educated. Bristol, I'd never seen big, wide roads. Yeah. And the library is huge. Yeah. And I spent days and days and days in the library because I was so excited to be around books. Yeah. I was so excited to be around knowledge
and
that people
have access to all these types of
and
things.
It's free. I can go in there and read whatever I want to. Yeah. And again, this is a real immigrant story in the sense that education and knowledge is your ticket out of poverty.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
You get educated, you're going to do better than us. You know, you can. And so I remember having to walk 35 minutes to the library when I was a kid, when I was doing my exams, or I'd walk into the centre of Coventry to the other library, which is a 45-minute walk, and then walk back. Whereas now this all this knowledge, I can do all of this. So I was always very grateful to be in an environment where people are studying.
Yeah, exactly.
And but I did have culture shock there as well, you know, because everyone was so privileged. Everyone knew stuff. Everyone had clean complexions because they'd grown up on salad.
Yeah.
We grew up on potatoes and rice.
Yeah.
So I was once I got over the culture shock, I then relaxed and started finding my own identity.
Because I think that's what university does. It's kind of like such a breath of fresh air to be kind of plant yourself in a new environment, a whole new bunch of people. And there is so many people from different walks of life, and they kind of all come together and you're in the same situation. But that's so exciting. So what did you do? So you kind of finished uni, and then what was next? Like
I read a book but what happened by the second year, I'd become disenchanted. I'd become kind of like, I realized that in this department there was only Russian, Eastern European and Western drama and film being looked at. There was nothing for me. I couldn't culturally relate to any of this. It was lovely. I learned a lot about Stanislavski. I learned a lot about great theatre practitioners. But it was all Eastern European and American stuff. Yeah. So for a brown kid, that I was kind of now on a search for my own identity. Yeah. Because I'm an Indian. Yeah. But I was born in Africa, and now I'm growing up in the UK. So I didn't know which of these places was my home, because I went to India and they told me I was too westernized. And I went to Kenya, and they're all Africans there. So, and I came to the UK and they go back to your own country. So I didn't belong anywhere.
How did you navigate through that then? How did you?
Well, when you're young, you don't know you're doing it. You don't know. You're not conscious of the problem. I mean, years later, I figured out the way I coped with it was the entire world opened up to me. So if I'm not Indian, if I'm not Indian enough for Indians, and if I'm not white enough for white people, and I'm not black enough to be an African, I can be whatever I want to be. And so I then learned martial arts, Chinese martial arts. I learned capoeira, which is Brazilian. So I spent a lot of time dancing doing samba and doing, all sorts of different stuff. Yeah. So I lived in France, I lived in Italy. So I started absorbing cultures from the world.
That's so much fun.
So it kind of trying to find my identity, I had the whole world had become my stimulus. Yeah. And it had become something that could inspire me, which is why I can't just be an Indian artist. Yeah. Or I can't just be a British artist. There's so much going on in the mix of cultures.
But that's the thing. I think that's the beauty about being an adult. And I don't know, I feel like as an adult, you're kind of just so much more in control of who you are and how you want to be perceived. And you can kind of control your own destiny to some extent. Like, I feel like, there is so many resources and stuff like that, which is great. So coming out of university, did you kind of go traveling straight away, or?
No, I didn't. Well, I traveled halfway through university. So I read a book. So I was doing a one-man show. Yeah. About a torture victim, and it was really hard. My friend and I had found this piece of document by a guy from El Salvador that had been tortured, and a journalist called Martha Gellhorn had smuggled it out of El Salvador, and we turned it into a theatre piece. Mm-hmm. And it meant meeting victims of torture. It meant meeting people who had really struggled.
Yeah.
And so I was a lecturer that came to see the show. Just went, you need to work with this guy called Grotowski. And I was, by this point, I've discovered drugs.
Okay.
And I've discovered alcohol.
Wow.
And I was like, who the hell is Grotowski, this Grotowski guy? And he said, here, read this book. And I read this book, completely changed my life. I went, oh my God, this is it. This is it. This is the guy I want to work with. And what spoke to me in the book, which was called Towards the Poor Theatre, was there was something about theatre in this guy's work that had gone beyond a bag of tricks. Acting can be just a bag of tricks, right? And people survive very well on their shtick. And it's fine, and you make a living, and you're good at it. But with this, for me, what appealed to me was that there was something almost holy about the commitment to a craft. Now, I've always had spiritual kind of leanings since I was a child. Often just I walked around like an alien, like someone's left me behind. I shouldn't be here. I'm not very good on this planet. I'm not comfortable being a human being. I felt like E.T. Someone's going to put me in the front of their bike and fly off, and I'm going to go back to where I belong, which was not here, because I don't belong anywhere.
But if not here, then where?
I've yet to find that out.
Yeah. Stay tuned for the next episode, guys, where we find out where Nitin belongs.
When I finally get home. You'll all be invited to the funeral. I ended up reading a book that I thought, this is it. This is what I need. I need a real teacher. I figured out where he is. And he had a school in Tuscany in Italy. And I stayed up all night. Next morning, my friend and I went to the cash point and said, we're men of action. We're warriors. We don't talk. We do.
We do.
So we put together some money and I bought an airplane ticket.
Oh, just a one way?
That evening, one-way airplane ticket. And I ended up in Pisa airport that night.
With your friend or alone?
No, just alone. And I had 50 quid in my pocket and a sleeping bag. And I was like, oh, wow. I arrived in Pisa. I remember talking to the girl next to me. She was a student. And I was really hoping she would kind of go, I was going, I don't know anything about Pisa. Do you know where I can stay? And she didn't. She didn't help. I was like, really going, please help me out. So I'm like 19 years old. I've never left the country before. I'm on my own. I've arrived at 11:30 at night at Pisa. I know to get to the Pisa Central Station. Got to. Now the reality of what I've just done has hit me. What am I doing? I'm here and it's raining. What am I going to do? And I just remember, and then I remember there was like 20 kids, teenagers, all screaming and shouting, walking in my direction. Now, when you see a group of people where I grew up, all being loud, you go the opposite direction. Like, you're going to get into trouble. Someone's going to start on you. So I was like, oh no, I've just arrived and I'm going to get beaten up here as well. And it turned out this bunch of Italians kind of went, oh my God, who are you? In Italian. And I'm like, I don't know.
Who do you want me to be?
And then and I had long hair and the girls were like, oh my God, look at his hair. He's got great hair. And the guys were like, where are you from? And I said from London. And they went, no, you're not. And the girls were like, let's buy him an ice cream. And I was like, okay. So they bought me an ice cream. And they said, choose whatever you want, have an ice cream. We'll go. And I sat down and I had an ice cream. And then they fucked off. And they left. And I was like, oh.
I thought we were going somewhere.
Oh, that's it. I was like, I thought they were going to look after me.
Take you under their wing.
Like, okay. All right, what do I do now?
Okay, we're back to square one. But we've got an ice cream now.
So I've got an ice cream. It's 11:30 at night. I'm seeing people, uniformed people in Italy carry guns.
Right.
So even a traffic warden has a gun in Italy. But so I see these guys walking around with guns and machine guns at night, and I'm like, and again, I'm so self-conscious of being brown that I think I'm going to be kicked out any second.
Yeah.
I start walking the streets, going, right, just start walking, just do something, don't sit there, because it's almost like being paralyzed with fear. So start walking, and I start walking, and I see a jazz club. And people are piling out of this jazz club, and there's two guys talking, and they're both on bikes. And I said, excuse me, do you speak English? And they went, yeah, a little bit. And so I've just arrived. I don't have anywhere to stay.
Yeah.
Do you know whether there's a hostel or something I can stay at?
Yeah.
And they said, we're students, we've got a spare bed. We study politics.
Right.
If you talk to us about British politics, you can stay the night.
And
of course, there was a lot to talk about. There was a lot to talk about with British politics in the 80s. So we stayed up. I went there to their place. They had a bed. We stayed up eating bread.
Yeah.
And
no cheese on any roll.
No cheese on any roll.
Always comes
Italian
back to
bread
cheese on your roll.
and drinking wine and stayed up talking about politics. The next morning, I got on the back of his bicycle and he dropped me to the edge of Pisa.
Right.
And he said, if you hitch from here, you might get a lift and you can go to this town. Go to this town. So I went, okay. So he left me there. And I started hitching.
This is a movie.
Yeah, it was and then I got in the car. Like somebody picked me up.
Yeah.
Which would not happen now. I don't think it would happen.
This feels like it was written.
And so I ended up in this little village, and I got this telephone number, and they said, when you get to this village, phone this number. Okay, I phoned the number, and there's an Irish woman called Annie that answered the phone and said, Rocky will pick you up.
Fine.
Because I said, look, I've been given your number. Yeah. I'm trying to get to this town called Pontedera. And she said, Rocky will pick you up. And I went, how will I recognize him? She goes, he's a cowboy. You'll recognize him. And I was like, what? And in this village, this big Mercedes-Benz pulls up. And a guy steps out with a Stetson and a waistcoat and cowboy boots. And I went, that must be Rocky. And he's a Uruguayan. And he's just had a baby.
Yeah.
And he comes and he says, it's my baby's christening party tonight. Come and stay the night.
Wow.
And I'm now sitting at a dinner table with a load of different people I don't know.
Yeah.
And they're all eating beautiful Italian food. And there's a baby and there was so much. People were just warm and
such a
tell
great
me about yourself.
Yeah.
Who are you? Where are you from? And the next day, I went for a walk in Tuscany, and then I got dropped off at another place, and I hitched again. And then I finally got to Pontedera. Right, it took me 3 days of traveling.
Yeah.
And if I had to, I'd sleep on the street. Sleep. If I've got nowhere to sleep, but each night somebody was giving me somewhere to stay.
It's almost like it was written and everything.
Oh, it was like a movie.
Yeah.
And then I got to this theatre in Pontedera, the Piccolo Teatro, and I walked in and I went upstairs, and there's all these Italians kind of lounging around, looking handsome and beautiful. And I said, I'd like to speak to Mr. Grotowski, please. And they just went, no. And they laughed. They laughed. It's like saying walking into Italy, going into Rome and going, can I speak to the Pope if it's all right?
But they don't know what it took for you to get there.
That doesn't matter. Grotowski's a master, right? It's his school.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big assumption that you're going to walk in and say, you need to speak to him. And they laughed and they laughed at me, and I sat there for 3.5 hours. Going, all right, well, I'm just going to wait here. Yeah. And they said, he never comes in here. If you wait here maybe a year, he'll come in here. And I went, well, I'll wait.
Yeah.
And I'd got this book written by a guy called Herman Hesse called Siddhartha. And again, this is one of those books that changes your life. I read this one. I found it by accident wandering around the library, and it's all about the Buddha. And one of the things that he does is he sits, he waits, and he thinks. So I said, I'll sit and I'll wait and I'll think. And then they kicked me out of the theatre. They said, well, you've got to leave now, we're closing. And I went, okay. So I sat down on the doorstep outside. They shut the door on me and I sat on the doorstep and I waited another couple of hours. And then there was a bar across the street and I went to have a wee and I came back. And every like 20 minutes or so, I would throw stones at the window and go, bang, throw the stone and go, I'm still here. I'm still waiting for Grotowski.
Don't forget about me.
And I would like keep
People
annoying
thinking,
them.
who is this guy?
And so, pretty much they were cursing me. So when I went to the loo and came back, in that time, Grotowski's assistant had been called and said, there's a guy here that won't go away. Yeah. And you could see how important this book was. I was like, I need a real teacher.
Yeah.
I've read this book and I've done this and I need a teacher. So this American guy came out called Jim and said, you're the guy.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah. He said, right, you look like you need to eat. I was so skinny. And I hadn't eaten that day. Yeah. And now it's about 5 o'clock in the evening. Oh. Right? So he took me for some food and he then proceeded to try and put me off. He said, look, the work is really hard. It's very repetitive. It's not for everyone. And I said, look, I need a teacher. I want to learn. And this is the stuff I want to learn. And he went, okay, all right. Stay the night here. We have, in 6 weeks, we've got a workshop. Come back for the workshop and you can meet Grotowski then. So I stayed the night and then the money that I had left over allowed me to buy a train ticket to Pisa. Okay, yeah. So I didn't have to hitch back, and then I got back to Bristol.
Wow!
And then went and
did you go back for the workshop?
Yeah, then I went back for the workshop, and that was hitching via Amsterdam and France, and I got a train all the way to Italy, and sleeping. I remember sleeping the night in Avignon, in south of France, under the bridge by the water. So I slept rough with my friend. My friend went to audition as well. And I ended up then doing the workshop and ended up staying there nearly 2 years.
Wow.
And again, remember, this is, and now it's not coming from Kenya to Coventry. Yeah. This is coming from Coventry and a corner shop to Tuscany. Yeah. Where people, this one girl called Paola said, I'm going to show you Italy.
And it's like,
and she showed me Italy in the most beautiful way. She said, "Have you ever had a fig?" And I went, "I don't know. I know how to smash bus stops and telephone booths. I know how to break things." Yeah. And she just said, "Right here, sit down." And she just picked a fig off a tree, and we just ate figs, and things like that. Yeah. Culturally, just. It's gone beyond being an Indian kid from a corner shop. Yeah. I'm now...
It's a journey, Bristol, Kenya, straight to Italia.
There's beautiful things that happen that I have to pinch myself and go, did that really happen? Yeah. And that
it's so amazing to have these stories to kind of reminisce on as well, because it's kind of these spontaneous things you do as like a young person when you don't really have many attachments and you kind of don't really... you kind of just go for things and do them. And
I'll tell you the difference, though. Yeah. There was no phone.
And I was going to say, did you have a phone during any of this? Because how do you navigate?
No, I'm an old man. This was before phones. Yeah. This is before the wheel.
Not even like a flip-up situation?
No. There was no phones. There was no phones. There was no internet. Yeah. I'm much older than you. There was no internet. But what happens, though, is... when you're on your own, and I was on my own. Yeah. Occasionally, I'd have my friend Simon with me, but most of the time, a lot of this journey was on my own. For example, I remember where I was living was at the top of a hill, and you have to go through these woods, a little road that went through the woods, but the trees covered the woods, and it was nighttime, and I was really scared. And I went into this, it's like walking into darkness. And it was so dark. I remember I hit the bank of the forest. I'd walked into a wall of trees, and then suddenly there's a glow. As I can see around the corner now, there's a weird blue glow, and I'm walking in the dark, pitch black, and I follow that glow, and I see a firefly. I start following this firefly. It's just invisible. It's blinking, and then suddenly, the forest banks of the forest were lit with fireflies. The rest of the journey home.
Wow.
Through this forest until I came out the other end of the forest, and I'm on my own, right? So there's something amazing about how much you absorb when you're open.
Yeah, definitely.
To being guided as well. Like I can't Google anything. I can't turn around and go, "Isn't that pretty?" I think the moment one does this commentary on something, you're no longer present. If we saw a load of fireflies or sunflowers and I went, "Hey, look at those, Rose, isn't that beautiful?" Now I'm not in the moment. But because I was on my own and because I was a solitary sort of person, you absorb this, and you're absorbing this in such a pure way that you're starting to feel connected with things that start to look after you. So that in each of those moments, I was being looked after, whether it was those guys outside the jazz club.
Exactly.
It's because I was open. I was... And I don't have anything else to rely on other than the humanity of people and being in touch with the world.
But I think you also have to take some recognition as well for kind of like your own part to play in that journey, because you were it takes a lot to be able to get up and kind of just jet set, to locations you've never been and put yourself out there and just kind of hope for the best. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people don't have that in them to do that. You kind of...
It took courage.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
had to battle with your own fears. I mean, when I arrived in Pisa, I was scared.
100%.
And because my experience of being out at night in the UK was, be careful, you're going to get jumped.
Exactly.
I'm like, well, what is it like here? But I was so hungry for knowledge.
Yeah.
I was so hungry for a teacher. Somebody set me an example. Somebody showed me what craft is.
Yeah.
And if you really, it's hard to give it a name. If you're really searching, if you really want it, you have to get up and do it. It's not enough. I think there's so many difficulties nowadays with social media and everything else. There's enough to make you not get up off the sofa. There's enough to distraction to not get up. Whereas in those days, life... you if you really followed your heart on something, and I guess I was in touch with my heart, and that's just to bring it back to these paintings. That's one of the things that I reconnected with in lockdown. That I reconnected with him, that kid that went off and just went, right, you know what, I need a teacher. I'm going to go. I'm going to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
I then picked up a brush and I started painting again, but I still had that guy in the back of my head who said, no, forget it, you're never going to achieve anything. But this time I just painted with my heart. But I painted during lockdown after... It was like every painting was a battlefield. Every painting has become the last one. I'm not going to paint again. This is the one. I've got to get this stuff out of me. And each painting has got a bit of my soul in there. It's not each painting I've done, I've gone, right, that's it, I can't do it anymore. I'm exhausted. But also I'm getting in touch with an honesty in myself, which I had missed. I'd missed being honest. As an actor, you're not honest. You're playing somebody else. And as an actor, I have to be careful what I say, because in the acting industry, you can get blacklisted very easily if you step out of line. But also, people want sound bites. They only want a quick, what's it like being a postman on EastEnders? And you go, hey, that's what, and you do your jazz hands and you give them their 3-sentence soundbite.
Yeah, exactly.
And nobody really wants to know who you are.
Yeah.
But then returning to painting was like returning to myself. And it's almost like falling in love again. Like that person that I was in love with, that painting sustained me throughout so much trauma.
Yeah, of course.
When I was a kid. It was the only safe space I had with violence and hate and toxicity, and painting was the thing that I did.
Yeah.
And then suddenly to return to that also meant I have to start loving myself again as well.
Yeah, definitely. But I think what's so interesting, because you had an 18-year gap where you didn't. Would you, if you could change that, would you? Like, you know, if you could go back and change that, would you? Or are you kind of glad that you had that I wouldn't even call it a pause, because, you know, 18 years is a long time. But would you change it if you could go back?
I guess I would. I would probably be. I don't know. I mean, you don't know how these things turn out. Most people would say, no, I wouldn't change a thing. You know, I probably would. I would have probably spent more time painting. And that one comment, this guy saying, forget it, you're not going to be an artist, kind of crushed a dream. And I would much rather have been an artist than an actor.
Wow.
I mean, I've succeeded very well as an actor, and I'm very proud of the stuff that I've done.
Yeah.
And I've been professional for 31 years. You know, I've worked with some incredible people, and I've done some incredible work. But when my heart is in the art,
she's in the art,
and it's my lifeboat.
Yeah,
it means more to me than just painting pictures that become expensive wallpaper. It's not wallpaper. It's a work of art that comes from some deep hurt, some deep need to express.
I think to be an artist is to kind of be so exposed as well, isn't it? I think, you know, you're kind of putting everything that goes on internally out on a piece of paper and kind of displaying it to people, for people to essentially look at it and kind of critique it and have an opinion or an interpretation of it, which is so, I think that's so exposing. You have to
as an actor, people will go, I watched that, it was shit. And you go, God, that was 6 months work. And people will just like it or hate it. But the thing about art is, the thing about painting for me is that I can't lie. I have to be honest. Yeah. Whereas with acting, I can do a trick. I can do a well-timed look that might get a laugh. Yeah. And that's good. That's still a craft. But with art, I have to be honest. I have to really be vulnerable. Yeah. And that takes courage. Yeah. That takes a certain type of person to say, I can't just make pretty pictures. Yeah, I wish I could. The art world is a very strange place because there's lots of art that becomes invisible very quickly. It just becomes background, like hotel art. Yeah. How many times do you look at it? But a piece of art is different. Mm-hmm. A work of art is different. Because I see lots of people who do their thing and that's it, and they make good money off it. But that's their thing, and that's their voice, and that's their story. But my paintings have, I don't know, they're kind of imbued with a story and an emotion. Yeah. That hopefully you keep returning to. You as a viewer to a piece of art, you keep coming back to it and seeing something slightly different. And hopefully the feedback that I get about my artwork is that it provokes a feeling in me.
Well, that's what I said. You know, you asked me what I thought, and I said definitely thought-provoking. But I'm so intrigued with your kind of like, you know, your art. Are you kind of more spontaneous or structured when you make art? Is it a thing where you wake up one day and you're like, I'm kind of in the mood to create, or do you kind of set times, you know, fit it in with your schedule? Like, I need to, you know, how does it work for you? How do you?
It's a compulsion. I have to paint. I always have a canvas ready. Yeah. I always have paper mounted, and then I have to paint. I have to paint now. Yeah. I have to get something out. It's like, and it's weird. It's kind of like it takes over me a little bit.
Do you paint in silence or to music?
It varies, but it varies. I used to paint to music back in the day when I was younger. I used to paint to music, and now I get into a space where, in order to get in touch with the feeling that's beginning to bubble up in me, or the thing that's making me want to paint, I have to have a little bit of silence, and that's why I'm really bad at recording my work, because I forget. I have to switch the phone off or put it on silent so I can really become engaged in what I'm doing. It's a very weird spiritual meditative thing, and it bubbles. It literally starts to pour out of me. I don't know what I'm going to paint until I start painting.
Okay, so
so there's no preconception of what it's like. Suddenly there's this. I'm now okay. There's a boy and he's on a wall. Okay, the boy on the wall, and he's jumping off it. And okay, go with it. Yeah. And I have to stop thinking. I have to go with it. Whatever is guiding it, I have to go with that. And once that initial thing is done, then the craft comes in. You've now kind of gone, okay, that's what I'm going to paint. You've just shown me what I'm going to paint. Now comes technique. Now comes color balancing and proportions. And right, I've got to do a brick wall now. I've got to do every brick. That's going to take time. Now I need some depth, some light source, and then it becomes a technical thing. And then it becomes a battlefield, because each painting I do, I screw it up. There's always a point where I go, oh no, I messed it up.
Really?
What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And it gets in. So then I go back to it and start trying to pull out a new story. This one here, you see this painting here? This is one of my favorite paintings, simply because the biggest challenge of that was to keep it simple.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, I was kind of like, that's called dreaming of possibilities. And how do I go, don't overcomplicate this painting, just step away from it.
I've got a question for you though, which I like to ask some of the artists that come in. Would you rather be known for your skill or your story, if you had to choose?
My skill or my story?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question,
because
because
I
hate, you know what really bothers me in podcasts? People going, that's a good question. Really bothers me. I just did it. I just did it myself. That's a good question. That's a good question. I hate that. It's the most overused phrase in podcasts.
It's because you're stalling.
No, it's because it's the first time I've ever been asked that. Yeah. That's why I think it's a good question. Yeah. My skills or my story. I think the story comes first. Yeah. I come from a classical background. I was influenced by, when I was a kid, I fell in love with Renaissance artists. So it's a very classical look at anatomy and painting. Yeah. But as well as Impressionism. That's where the color influence comes from, Van Gogh. But I fell in love with Van Gogh's story. I didn't fall in love with Van Gogh's work straight away. By hearing his story, I just then made sense of his work. And again, I'm only 16, right? I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. I just know what I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. And I love Michelangelo's paintings. If I was my favorite Renaissance artist would be Michelangelo. Why? And I was trying to, when I was trying to explain to a teacher why I liked them, and it was because all the characters in Michelangelo's paintings all look slightly tragic. There's a sort of thing going on for me where they all look like they're about to emote something. Yeah. They all have an emotion about them. So it's really, when I was into art as in those days, it was about what I felt. What did the painting make me feel? Yeah. I'm impressed by technical paintings. I'm really impressed by photorealism. That's craftsmanship. But what does it make me feel? Yeah. And so the story is the thing that starts to trigger a lot of things, a lot of feelings. Yeah. When you look at, I've got a collection called The Boy with the Boxing Gloves, and people have got tearful looking at them. Yeah. And that's because they're connecting emotionally. So I think, so I'm not stalling. I think it's a great question, which is, I think the story has to come first. The story.
Okay. And I know that you've got your exhibition coming up with the London Art Exchange in September, which is super exciting.
I'm really excited.
I'm super excited. Talk to me about the collection.
Well, these are all the paintings from lockdown. And so I kind of want to house them in one space and have as many of them as possible.
Yeah.
And there's a lot.
What's the name of the collection?
I mean, I don't know if it's been given a name yet.
Okay.
But it would be great to see all of these paintings up on walls. And this is this is all from lockdown. There's about 100 paintings.
Wow.
I don't know if we'll fit them all in.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to that, because the other thing that's happened is that the exhibitions I've had have been private exhibitions. So on social media, I'm getting a lot of people going, I really want to see your artwork.
Yeah.
When can I see it? And I kind of want to share it with the public before I have to say goodbye to them as well. If any painting gets sold, they're taking a piece of me with them. I didn't paint these to be sold. When I started painting in lockdown, it was just literally to manage. It was a coping strategy with the depression that I was feeling and the dark place that I was. And these are the stories that started to come out. I never thought 4 or 5 years down the line I would be in an art gallery like the London Art Exchange, talking about this artwork. I never thought that would happen. I literally did a painting, put it away in a box, did a painting, put it away.
And now?
Now this reality's kind of come to fruition.
Yeah.
And I like the vibe of London Art Exchange. It's a good vibe.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah, no, I do. And I remember when I first came in, and I just, there's a kind of an edge to this place which suits me. Yeah. And I'm kind of, if I didn't have a cultural identity, at least have an artistic home.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm hopefully finding a good home for my paintings.
Exactly. I mean, coming up though, have you got before we wrap up, any exciting upcoming projects other than the exhibition, the collection? Is there anything else that we should keep our eyes peeled?
At the same time I'm acting. Yeah. Still being an actor. That's my day job. Mm-hmm. So 2 really dodgy industries. So I go back. I'm doing the 3rd season of Changing Ends with Alan Carr for ITV. I'm going back to Sweet Pea, 2nd series of Sweet Pea, which was on Sky, which is a great show. Yeah. And possibly a thing I did for Netflix called 3 Body Problem. Ooh, interesting. And there's a 2nd season of that. So at the same time, this is going to be here. We're going to be doing the exhibition here.
But there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you back.
No, I've really enjoyed it.
And we shall stay tuned for the exhibition coming up in September. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please like, comment, and stay tuned for the next one. Ciao.